Hi, everyone. I am beyond excited to be speaking with my very good friend, Katherine Macbean, the unstoppable Katherine Macbean, who is really helping to change our world in such a positive direction. So just an absolute joy. Many of you will know Katherine from being a founder person for the PHA, the People's Health Alliance, and all the wonderful work she's done there. But she's now absolutely galvanizing the People's Food and Farming Alliance. It's something that's incredibly close to my heart and to many people's hearts, and particularly as we get into this, I think you'll understand the importance of this. It's absolutely foundational for where we're going. And what I love, before I let Katherine speak, what I love about this, and I genuinely do, and as I was watching some of the videos on the PFFA YouTube channel, I genuinely got more and more excited. And partly that's just because I love the earth, I love nature, I love just all those natural rhythms of the earth, but it's absolute bullseye for the astrology, because we are moving away from centralization. While Pluto has been in Capricorn, as many of you know, there's been a strong grip of centralization. There are still going to be some attempts, particularly in the fall, in the autumn of this year, towards more or to keep the centralization. That's not going to happen because Pluto has already re-entered Aquarius for the second time in this 248-year cycle, and as of the 19th of November will be in Aquarius for another 20 years. And then we have other energy focused on Aquarius anyway. So this is the shift of the power to the people. And it's about decentralization. Ordinary people like you and me listening to this, really taking our power back. And nowhere is that more important than with food. Aquarius energy is all about communities, it's about networks. It's also so clearly about agriculture and food growing, because Pluto in Aquarius intensifies the expression of Uranus in Taurus. Taurus is food growing, agriculture, food production in all kinds of ways. Uranus is also to do with revolution and protest. So we're seeing a revolution happen, being galvanized by Katherine here, which we're going to be talking about today. But it's also literally the protests all over Europe, all over the UK, all over America as well, because there is resistance to the continued centralization. This is a big shift to decentralization. So anyway, a lot there, and I am just welcome, Katherine. It's great to be speaking to you again, and thank you so much for all the work you're doing with this.
Oh, thank you, Pam. And yeah, no, it's an absolute pleasure. As you know, it's something for 15, 20 odd years I've been looking at, and I am so excited to be now at this moment. You can feel the energy, you can feel people getting excited and understanding the necessity to step into our power, to take it back from the central control mechanisms, simply by creating the new, specifically at a community level. And it happens organically, it happens naturally. It doesn't have to be a tussle even. We can just step into it by doing it. It really is that simple. And what's been so exciting is the response we've had from the public, who are now in their droves growing their own or setting up community growing groups, coming together to find the solutions. And something we've been working on quite heavily since the new year is about connecting farmers and producers with their local consumers, if you like, and the consumers reaching out and asking, how can we help you? How can we make life easier for you? And so we've been building the models, we've been building the examples, we've been sharing the Zooms, coming at it from all angles. And again, do go and have a look at our YouTube channel or our website for a bit more information. But the people are embracing it. They understand now very much the position that we're all in. And it's an incredible opportunity, this moment in history, an incredible opportunity to step into our power and just make it happen. And we all need food. You know, we all need food. But it's not just the nutritional benefits we get from it. It's out working in the soil, healing. If we're healing the soil, we're healing ourselves. And the fresh air, the working with nature, the quiet surroundings quite often. And the ability then, the joy is to then share that produce, your glut, share it with people locally. There's so many health benefits for us and for others around us. I could go on for hours about it.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, this is so close to my heart as well. And Dr. Zach Bush talks about this a lot. We can't have a healthy microbiome unless we've got healthy soil. And supermarkets have really pushed farmers into monocropping, which I know we've discussed in the past, and that's very unhealthy for the soil. So I know the PFFA really supports traditional rotation of crops, and a lot of your growers are also organic as well. I mean, there's so much I want to talk about here, because you've got many different expressions of how the PFFA is working. I mean, one aspect that really intrigued me is the Open Food Network, which I understand was an idea that was birthed in Australia. So this is creating, it's building a better food system for the world. And I thought that was just amazing. So it isn't just the UK. I think you've got about 200 shops in the UK under that banner, but it's now actually global. So can you tell us a bit about that, Katherine, the Open Food Network, and how that operates?
Yeah, I'd advise everyone to go and look at the website. So how it works is you can find a map wherever you are in the world and find your local, if you like, food hubs, producers and farmers. It fundamentally is an opportunity, and there's a map of the UK. So you can go on there. There's lots and lots of different spots that you can see where you can go and buy, be it directly from the farmer or producer. You could be buying from a local food shop or a local food hub, and you could be buying from an individual. I mean, Doris at number 94 can put her Bramley apples on there if she wants to share with the world. It's absolutely all encouraged, and it's all beautiful. I love that side of it. And so, for example, something at PFFA we're doing, and we work closely with the Open Food Network, we work closely with the pharmacy. Again, time of competition is gone. It's time to come together and collaborate and support each other. And what they're doing is helping groups open up local food hubs. The UK contact, a gentleman called Nick Weir, will literally get on Zooms with individuals and talk them through the process. And again, if you want to know what a food hub is, go and have a look on the PFFA site. But it can be different for everyone. There's no rule. It could be a place whereby it is used as a retail outlet, so local people, be it farmers or producers or just people in their back gardens, can bring produce to sell. It could be somewhere where people gather together, be it farmers and consumers come together to plan what the farmer said. What do you want next season? What do you want next harvest? What do you want us to grow or to rear or to generate for you? So that then the farmers can work with the community. So there's not a great deal of wastage. They know exactly what they're doing. And in advance, the consumers, the people in the local community, they know what they're going to receive. It could also be a place where you run a food bank, for example, if there isn't one in your local area. Could you set up a food bank? Could you use it as a place to run a food box system, or bring other things in like that? Could you connect with the pharmacy cooperative, another one of our partners, and help them set up a system in your local area? There are so many opportunities, but food hubs will become the place of the future, not the ones that we see by the global people, but what you produce, the local food hubs that you produce and develop in your area, and how they can be used. And another way that they can work is one of the problems farmers have in maybe moving away from dealing directly with the supermarkets and large processors is the fact that they no longer have that direct route to market. And one of the reasons it's difficult is because there aren't local processing units anymore, whether that be in terms of the animals, whether that be a mill of, a windmill or a water mill or whatever. A lot of these aren't around or have certainly slowed right down. So actually the community can help by helping farmers get these processing units open. And it's down to we, the people, let's be honest, let's make that happen. We can get these units open, come together with people in a local area. Maybe that your food hub group will go apply a bit of pressure to the council properly, or maybe it's a case of you're going to find investment to help get those units open. And that way the farmer doesn't have to feel they're obliged to work directly with the supermarkets. They can actually process their produce at a local level and distribute it directly from there. So there is so much we can do and are capable of doing. And that way, let's be honest, we're going to remove a lot of the chemicals and a lot of other not nice processes, if you like, that in order that can have an impact on our health. This way we can be moving towards a far healthier, more nutritional diet, and we have far much more control at a local level.
Yeah, beautiful. And again, for the astrologers, this is reminds me so much of the archetype of Homer, this kind of regeneration, this love of the earth. And I was also astonished listening to one of the PFFA videos, Catherine, that farmers have been very squeezed. So they're only making around a penny in the pound for producing their produce, even though they work incredibly hard. And in the UK, 90% of food sales go through 7 large supermarket corporations. I mean, that's extraordinary in terms of centralized power. So PFFA is almost going back to the old-fashioned, the traditional way of farming, isn't it? And what I love also is the complete transparency about the food hubs as well, that you can see you've got an online system, as I understand it, so people can actually order their fruit and veg boxes online and they can see who actually produced
Yeah,
the cabbage or the cucumber or whatever, and the amount of money that is going to that producer. It's completely transparent. So it really is cutting out the middleman and literally buying direct from the farmer. And that is just win-win all around. It's a big win for the farmers who've been under so much pressure. It's wonderful for us as individuals to feel we really are supporting our local community. I mean, I haven't been to a supermarket for over 4 years now. I'm not planning to go again because I have an organic fruit and veggie box that's delivered every week from UK growers. I love it. No
yeah,
packaging, just a cardboard box, really fresh from the fields. I mean, what's not to like about that? It's just
yeah,
wonderful. So, but I think I was very impressed the way the food hubs have got to the state where they really are offering an online service. And I
yeah,
thought, wow, that has come such a long way in a short time.
yeah. It's brilliant. And the Open Food Network is fantastic. And it's an open source platform, which is for somebody non-techie like me. It means it's very much more led by the people. There's not someone up there on top making it happen. The people are very much involved with its development, which is wonderful. But you're right. This is it. Like we say, Beryl or whoever at number 90, she can put her apples on there. If she wants to charge money, she can. If she doesn't, she doesn't. If you want to buy from a food hub, you can see where every single item has been sourced from, who that local supplier is, what they're getting paid, what you're paying, what the hub's making. It is totally transparent. And for me, that's the way forward. No more things done behind closed doors. It's all very, very transparent. And so you're building trust naturally by being that transparent. You've got nothing to hide. And the Open Food Network is fantastic. I'd encourage everyone to go and look at the website. They're doing an incredible job at the moment. And this is the way forward. And like I say, if you want to form a food hub, we're working with them. You can come to us. You can go to Open Food Network and get advice. But the important thing is to get on with it and to get these open. And one thing I loved is Nick was giving us an example that one of their hubs is the back of a pub. They've got a spare room up the back. The delivery of the produce comes in on a certain day each week. Volunteers box it up and then the consumers come and collect it. That simple. It doesn't need to be convoluted and difficult. It can be that simple. And with the Open Food Network platform, you can organize it all online. They can help you do all that. It doesn't need to be difficult, but it is definitely taking a far more traditional approach to how we produce food, how we buy food, and how we consume food. And I'm just so excited. It's really about time now.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm so excited, not only listening to you, but listening to the videos as well. I mean, this is just because I'm such a lover of nature and organic food, and it's just so close to my heart. We need to take back control, and that's what I absolutely love. And I love the fact also that if producers sell via the hubs, there's no charge to them for doing that. They can do that completely for free. Or if they want to sell direct from their farm without using the hub, there's a 2.4% charge for them in
I believe so.
advertising, yeah, via the hub.
Yeah,
But it's so transparent, it's so open, and it will also just reconnect people with their local farmers. This
yeah.
is building community in another way, isn't it?
And also that, we have to bear in mind that in reality, and for a number of years, we've seen an increase in mental health issues in farming.
Yeah,
That's been no secret. It's been around for years, but people are only sort of becoming aware of it nowadays, which is great. People are jumping on it. And I personally, and I have nothing to back this up, but I personally believe when farmers were led down the road to become disconnected from their communities and work directly with the large processors or the supermarkets, they've lost that support network. They've lost that interaction. They've lost those relationships over time. And it's just been happening very slowly. And also, apply the difficult financial pressures and so forth that they're under. And that does make things very difficult. And I'm very hopeful, Pam, that as farmers start to become aware of what we're doing and start to reconnect with local people, we will help to eliminate or certainly alleviate some of these pressures or some of these concerns farmers are having, so they're able to heal and they're able to trust and they're able to reconnect. And I think that's something which is almost a beautiful byproduct of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. You know, it really is a win-win-win on every level. And the direction of travel, as we know, has been towards much more industrialized farming, large industrial units of farming. And, you know, at the soul level, I just recoil from all of that. Nothing feels natural and good about that. But you've got another aspect of PFFA, which I was fascinated about, which is community farms, where local people can actually come together, almost like crowdfunding, to invest in buying some land for to allow the farmer to operate, and it's community funded. And I thought that was amazing. Again, it's so Aquarian, but I thought that was amazing. So can you talk a little bit about that and how that's working?
Yeah. So it's something we've only got into in the last couple of months. We're currently putting together a blueprint, which I think we had a slight delay on. It should be ready in the next month or so. And that's a step-by-step guide as to how you can approach this. For a lot of farmers, they cannot currently afford to farm all of their land. And for the handfuls that we've been able to speak to about this, that a lot of them are very, very open to renting or loaning out, often free of charge, plots of land. It could be 5 acres, it could be 10 acres, but it's certainly enough to create a small community farm where you can create a mixed farming approach. So, you know, you may have a bit of poultry, you may have a bit of livestock, you may have some crops, you may just be veggies and soft fruit. There is a plethora of things you could do. We'll always encourage a mixed, traditional mixed farming approach from the PFFA side of things. But it is down to communities to decide what that looks like. They could work in tangent with the local farmers. Well, what are you not able to cover this season? Where's there a gap? What can we do? And also, you could potentially buy some land. Like you were saying, you could come together, form potentially a cooperatives type of style, and you end up owning that. We've got the My Little Farm model where they bought the land and they run the farm. But what they do is they allow people to buy in. So those people can buy into part of the farm and have a say or get involved or receive the produce, however it is they want to work it. There are so many different ways that people can approach this, but until you go and speak to your farmer, you're not necessarily going to know what your options are. So that would be the first thing, is connect with your farmer, create a relationship, let them know you want to help. You know, we are here to help. A lot of farmers, by the nature of the beast, are maybe quite insular. They're not necessarily people. You know, they quite like being in their own world, and they don't necessarily reach out. But actually, they understand the position they're in. They know that things are a bit tricky, and this could be a great, you know, problem solver. Another one is actually, if you're gonna, you know, able to get that farm off the ground, maybe you've got an excess in volunteers. Maybe you can then approach the farmer and say, hey, we've got 20 people here who want to help out. Is there anything you need doing around here that we could help out with? And actually provide some practical support. They may say, well, we need help getting the infrastructure in, or we may need help out harvesting something, or we may need help getting this out into the local community. There are so many opportunities, but now is the time. And obviously it's aligning with everything you're saying, but now it feels so right that this is the time that we make this happen. And it's only a positive for everyone, apart from maybe the supermarkets.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And the other aspect, I mean, there was so much I loved. In fact, I just loved all of it, because there was in the video that I watched, there was something about regenerative agroforestry.
Yeah.
That sounded absolutely fascinating. Can you talk about that, Katherine?
Yes. So there's different theories at the moment on currently what it looks like. You know what it's like. Different people have different ideas. But I like to think of it as growing a food forest. That's how I
Oh,
personally look at it.
wow.
I love trees. I love being in the woods.
Me too.
And there's so much that we can do in terms of producing food and serving nature at the same time. And this is just one of those elements. You know, we are working with farmers to help them understand there is a transition that needs to happen here. A lot of people are understandably would say, right, let's just cut out all chemicals straight away and everyone move to mixed farming. That's the long-term goal. We've got to work with the reality of what the farmers can achieve. And for some of them, this agroforestry is a way to go. You know, they can introduce that and still get the financial support that they require at the moment, whilst we move through a transition. We want to support farmers moving away from using chemicals. Now, some of them don't want to necessarily go organic straight away. So we can lean them in different directions, maybe move to livestock, maybe move to poultry. But agroforestry is one of those answers that could tick some boxes. And for those that are interested, I've noticed a lot of organisations like the National Farmers Union, who I'm not necessarily a massive fan of, but a lot of them are running courses on agroforestry at the moment. And a lot of the courses out there are free. So I would, if anyone's interested, I would encourage you to go and have a look online, see if there's anything local to you where you could learn the basics in agroforestry. But I love the idea of, you know, creating more forests whereby we can grow food, where we're healing the soil and we're working with nature at the same time. But it is certainly a topic that it needs more investigation, but it's very exciting.
So would that principally be fruit trees?
Could be nuts.
Yep.
Nut trees are really popular. We've got a walnut tree here. Did I get any of them? No, the squirrels did. But it was wonderful watching them go up and get them and then running along the top of the fence and burying them in my garden where I didn't want them burying it, but I was quite happy watching them do it. But yeah, it's to support nature, lots of different trees, herbs, bushes that can produce herbal remedies as a long-term result. That's another thing people can consider. If you've got a very small plot, but you feel strongly about this, I'm sure there's a number of herbalists out there who would love to source from a local community grower herbs for their apothecary or whatever it is they're running, or those that you can make at home, those that you can consume in tea. Again, the health and the food go hand in hand, but at the moment there's elements of both that could do with some maneuvering, and through PHA and PFFA, that's what we want to do. But they tie up so beautifully, and in all honesty, you don't need to worry about your health, I don't think, in the main, if you're eating and consuming incredibly nutritious, balanced diet that's not covered in chemicals or not been handled in a certain way. You know, and ultimately, what we've got to remember is by setting these systems up, we will all save money, and a farmer and producer will make more money.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah,
Whilst money's there.
absolutely, 100%. I just love this whole idea of it being so community based and this whole network of information that you're all sharing with each other. You know, there's a real sense of equality in it as well. Humanity, equality, love for the earth. And it's fascinating what you were saying about growing herbs as well, because that was the original medicine. I mean, if we think of something like aspirin, that comes from salicylic acid, which is the willow tree. You know, originally medicines came from herbs and plants. So it's wonderful to be thinking, because I truly believe that nature has everything we need to be healthy. It's got all the ancient wisdom we need. And yeah, it's just beautiful at so many levels, because what you're essentially talking about is building a more secure and resilient food system for the world, not just the UK, for the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it should. The global guys want to control us. The food's a fabulous way they could go about doing that, but they can't do that when you're producing yourself. You're producing with your neighbor, you're producing at a local level, you're working with your local farmer. They can't do anything. We then have control over our food supply, and we can then ensure that it is healthy. It hasn't gone through loads of processes. It hasn't been shipped all over the world. You know, we do encourage people to look at seasonal eating. Eat what is readily available in the area that you live, because this is also better for the natural world, but it's also better for our health. We're not forcing produce into our bodies that they may not, you know, necessarily want at that time of year. And also cost, you know, you work with nature, it's always that much more affordable. So yeah, I would definitely encourage people to be aware of seasonality and understand that just because you might not then get strawberries on Christmas Day, is that such a bad thing? There's always another way of looking at things, and always another way of making sure we do what's right by the natural world around us as well as ourselves. And that's a key element of PFFA, which is why we want to support farmers transitioning from a monocrop, monoproduct culture into a traditional mixed farming approach. We feel that's very key in terms of healing the land, making it kind of for the animals, not just the agricultural animals, but certainly the animals in wildlife as well. making smaller fields so you have more hedgerows, not over ploughing the land, you know, letting it sit, and using the animals in their natural state to rotate with certain crops and certain vegetables, so they're doing the healing work. They do it naturally, allow them to do it. And so, but we also have to be realistic that for some farmers, some aren't even aware of the bigger issues yet. We've got to help them realize that. And some of them are a little bit nervous of moving away from supermarket contracts and things that they've become used to. Again, it's about change. And I think it's down to us, the communities, to support them through that and understand it's going to take a little bit of time. But the sooner we put one foot forward, the sooner that will come.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely beautiful. And also, you know, there's a lot out there in the media about net zero, etc. But it's interesting, isn't it, that there is only 0.04% carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, 0.04. And I know several local farmers who actually pump CO2 into their greenhouses to boost their crop yield up to about the 20% level, I think, because it produces faster, better growth for the plants. Plants are made of carbon. You know, no carbon, no food. It's very simple. So again, nature knows best. Nature knows best, and it's often man in the past who's created an imbalance. But you're going back to work in harmony with the earth, which is just beautiful. So, how much of this, Catherine, would you say is spreading to other countries? Are other countries developing their own systems? Are they adopting some of your templates for their country? What's happening? Because I suspect you have a lot of international communication.
Well, in all honesty, I only came back in the room fully for PFFA in January, and already Australia, New Zealand, and Malta are setting up food hubs. It's actually incredible without us even really going on about it a huge amount yet. People across the world I'm connecting with who are already working at a community level, PFFA or not, it doesn't matter. It's about getting it done. And people are reaching out from various countries all over the world saying, oh, we've started doing this in our city, and we've started doing this in our town, and we've done the amount of rooftop gardening in cities. And whilst we want the soil healed and we want to work with the land, people in cities are setting up hydroponics units just to make sure there's some fresh produce that they are producing. They're doing it for themselves. We've got others who are working with farmers. I've got a meeting next week with a bunch of Australian farmers who are really, really keen to sort of start understanding the more mixed farming approach. I think a lot of farmers certainly they've fallen hook, line and sinker for a lot of reasons, for what the supermarkets promised them, and they're realizing now that the supermarkets aren't really on their side, and that's fine. We've all been there. The point is for us now to all come together and help them through this transition, help them cope, help them find ways forward, help them and support them in moving and in transitioning. Maybe suggest they introduce poultry initially, because that's very, very low cost to do. And honestly, chicken poo is wonderful, wonderful stuff. And those chickens will go around and have what I'm creating, what I'm building when I get my chickens is a little mobile unit on wheels with a house in it. So I can move them from plot to plot, and they've always got fresh land to graze on, as it were. And they'll go in, and if you want to put them on your old veg beds, they'll love it on there, and they'll clear them for you. They'll completely clear them. So you don't even have to do a touch of digging or anything. It's done. Animals know how to heal the soil. So let's allow them to do that. And they all have different preferences for different things. They will dig out the ground and what their waste supplies the ground, and you have a mixture of that going over after you've harvested a certain crop. You're going to have beautiful soil to work with. So yeah, I honestly think that other countries are starting to realize that these models work, whether it's through us or other groups out there who are singing from the same hymn sheet. They're realizing that a mixed farming approach is key for us, key for the farmer and producer, and key for the natural world around us.
Yes, because if the soil becomes very depleted, nothing works. Nothing works. Oh, you know, we're not healthy, the microbiome suffers, and it's very hard to grow food in the future because it eventually becomes very sterile and unproductive. So, you know, this is the only way to go. So tell me about the pharmacy co-ops, Catherine, and how they differ to the food hubs.
So Danny, who runs the pharmacy co-op back in, I think it's 2019 or 2020, decided that he was a bit sick and tired of the current food systems. And so what he wanted to do was very similar to the ethos behind what we're doing. Connect with local suppliers and set up a distribution system whereby he could have volunteers help, because there's no money to start with, same as most of these things that we do. And people would come in, they'd have a little small warehouse, and the produce would come in from local suppliers, and then they'd box it up, and volunteers would drive it off and distribute it out to local customers. And it just expanded and expanded and expanded. And they try to use locally sourced where possible. They don't just do food now, they do things like hand soap and other things that are produced on a local level. They're putting those in place. But what's beautiful is that Danny and Nick from Open Food Network, they're now talking, they're now working amongst themselves to figure out different solutions and help bring those. Danny actually has got an agroforestry project going on as well. So the pharmacy co-op, they've just set up a hub in the southwest, whereby the gentleman there is a small team working with local producers. They get the orders in for the food boxes, they put them together and they deliver them out. Now, anyone can help adopt these models and create a pharmacy co-op extension in their area. You just have to connect with the pharmacy, and they'll be more than happy to work with you to help you figure out how to sort of set it up in your area. And again, it's just a different model, different way of looking at it, but they all work. Not one model or answer would necessarily suit everyone. So it's great to have a plethora of different ideas and energy and excitement. And the fact that we're now at a stage where you think 10 years ago, 5 years ago, these groups wouldn't necessarily have been talking to each other. It was a different mentality, if you like. It was a more competitive world. Those days are gone. Yeah. We're now connecting with all these different groups, and they're connecting with each other, and we're finding the solutions together. And that excites me. That really excites me, because it shows the shift, the change in where we are as humanity, as to what's important to us. And no longer is this an economy of profit. It's an economy of love. And it creates a completely different energy when you're working with each other. I know that they both help problem solve each other's problems, you know, and we've dived in on a few bits. And there are other groups out there that we're connecting with and working with of the same mentality, if you like, that we're all in this together, and everyone's model's a bit different. There's no need for competition. It doesn't matter if it is the same model. We're all, at the end of the day, want to eat healthy, nutritious food that's produced in a kind, loving way at a local level. It really boils down to that, and everyone will be financially better off in the long term, because things can be difficult when food prices go up. Absolutely acknowledge that. Farmers aren't any better off when your food prices go up, trust me. And these models, these will help farmers and producers as well get out of the financial rut that so many of them are in.
And it's very interesting, you know, we have lived through such an age of competition, particularly the last few years. Pluto moved into Capricorn in 2008, and if anything, that centralized structure intensified, increased with greater control, greater powers. We've moved through from 2008. It was all about competition, you know, win-lose philosophy. But now with Pluto moving into Aquarius, it's much more about altruism and sharing your resources. What can I do to help the other person? And it's interesting, Lynn McTaggart says that altruism is the highest state of being, because that produces the best result, because we are sort of using the group energy to magnetize the result and magnify the result. So, you know, so many people in local communities are thinking, well, the world's in a mess. What can I do to help? I can do it. What can I do? Well, everybody can do something, whether it's promoting this, as I'm doing for you now, and I'm thrilled to do it, whether it's making something artisan, whether it's helping pack the boxes or deliver the, you know, everybody can do something, because without good, healthy food, nothing works, nothing in our society. And it gives people a sense of pride. It will give farmers their own sense of pride back from being so pilloried as they've been over the years. And really, that's what all these farmers' protests are about. It's about let them grow the food as they always have through all the generations, because often the family farms have been in generations for hundreds and hundreds of years. These people are incredibly hardworking. They could not work any harder to produce food for us. So we really are starting to change the model. You are starting to change the model with the PFFA, and the speed at which you've got this rolling and all that you've achieved is really amazing and really impressive. So I really want to congratulate you. Catherine, on how much you've done in such a short time. I was astounded, actually, at how far it's come in such. I mean, Pluto only started to move into Aquarius last year for just 3 months, and more fully in November this year. But you have just moved mountains. So
I think the public are ready as well. I think that's been helpful. Timing with a lot of this stuff I've learned over the last few years is key. Timing is key. And it just towards the end of last year, just before the farmers in Europe started protesting, I just got this really strong drive. You need to now focus on PFFA. This is now the time. And it's not left me. And I think the public get it. Most of the public get it. They understand now that we're having a shift. And what excites me the most is seeing other people excited. I get pictures from people saying, I've got my first cucumber plant growing, and I've got and they, because they've seen posts and this, that, and the other, they're giving it a go. And they're so excited when those shoot. I mean, I still get excited now, and I've been doing it for a few years. So excited when those shoots come up and they want to share with everyone. And that's what it's about. It is about the excitement and new life. It's literally new life, and it's just so empowering for people. And one thing I say, if you're scared, if you don't know what you're doing, if you've got not a clue, I this weekend pulled out some rather mank looking potatoes from the back of my larder, which were growing sprouts and all sorts was going on. And I got a few bags for life that I had in the cupboard, stuck some holes in the bottom, stuck some compost in, put my spuds in, did a thin layer of soil on the top, and I've watered them and left them. Now I know once those green shoots start coming through, I'm going to put another layer of compost on and keep going and keep going. And before you know it, you will have bags of life full of potatoes. It can be that simple, and you don't need to spend a huge sum of money by any stretch of the imagination if you're not in a position to do so. That is fine. Just do what you can with what you've got. And I've always said that, PHA and onwards, do what you can with what you've got. But by connecting with others in your local community, you'll think, well, Bob's got a trowel I can borrow. And, Mavis up the road, she's got a wheelbarrow I can borrow this weekend. And we can come together and make it work. And it's sharing that excitement. And also, all you gardeners out there, I'm sure there's many of you been doing this donkey's years, please do help those that don't know. Please do reach out to, maybe you've got novices more so like me in your area who haven't done that many years, who's going to have lots of questions. Put yourself out there, share your knowledge. We'd love to learn. People love to learn new things. And we know we've got some incredible seasoned gardeners in this country, some incredible seasoned gardeners. So I'd love for them to reach out and be, if you like, the village mentor or the community mentor, and help those new to this through it. There is so much joy to be had from doing it, but helping others is equally, if not more, joyful for me personally.
yeah, absolutely thrilling. And I know a local farmer who now produces sort of sprouting seeds, and he distributes the sprouting seeds either that you can grow yourself on your own windowsill if necessary, or he will deliver them already sprouted. And he also distributes via a kind of farming hub, essentially farmers hub. And it's wonderful, and they are so nutritious. You don't need much to get an incredible boost of energy. They're superfoods essentially, and they're so cheap to grow. So it's something that everybody, that kind of level of growing, everybody can get involved with. So
you just need a windowsill. You literally just need a windowsill. And I don't have a huge amount of growing space, but I've got these bags stacked up on my, what I call my sunnier wall, just stacked up, and they will grow, and I will produce potatoes from them. And potatoes, you can do so much with them, and it doesn't need to cost a fortune. Sadly, because of the weather, there has been a bit of a limit in what potatoes and carrots we've been able to produce over here. So hey, why not grow your own? It's a really good opportunity to sort of get your hand in as well. And this is why it's so important that we work with our farmers, because they've got the land, and so many are only going to put it fallow or maybe subsidy it at best, because they can't afford to farm it all. So do go and speak to your farmer, particularly if you're in an area where people don't have large gardens or don't have access to fields. Go and speak to your farmer. See if they're happy to work with you on it. Say, well, look, if you've got an acre or two, we could just start growing potatoes and onions. Just maybe start with potatoes and onions and see how you go. If you can do more, fantastic. But the point is to get everyone involved this year. We want everyone growing food. We've launched our campaign, More Farmers, More Food, because we want to see more farmers and we want to see more food. It is as simple as that. And we can all be mini farmers if we so choose to, but we also can help other farmers come up through the ranks, whether it be through a small community farm, a cooperative farm, whatever that might look like. We've got to remember as well, So many of the community back in the day would be involved in the local farm and food production. So many in the community. And we can make that happen again. We can revolutionize and re-energize local economies by picking up what food production looks like. So we're not just talking about the food. You've got a dairy farmer, you get that milk off that farmer. Who's making the butter? Who's going to make, who's going to get the cream off? Who's going to do the local processing on lamb's wool or lanolin or all of the byproducts that come out of farming? There are so many small businesses that could open up to help that processing along. There's so much opportunity at local level to work within food production to make a nice sum of money for you to survive quite comfortably, but also then make sure that those farmers have got options on where to send their produce so that it can get back out into the local community. I've just got my sourdough starter started. I can't wait to go and get freshly milled flour so I can make my own loaves. And I'm honestly so excited, Pam. But all this stuff we can do for ourselves.
Yeah, it's thrilling. And there's so many different levels at which people can get involved. They can grow their own food to supply to a food hub. They can help with the packing. They could help with the delivery. If you've got any gardening experience, as you say, there's so many different aspects that you can get involved in, but it will help communities reconnect as well at the most foundational level. And that's what's so exciting. In France, they have a farmers market every week. In every tiny village, there seems to be a farmers market. I think we need to get back to that in this country as well. But equally, this will be global, because you are speaking the astrology, even though you don't realize that you're speaking the astrology. You're speaking Uranus in Taurus and Pluto in Aquarius, because it's all about a whole new way of looking at food production that is very traditional, Taurus in many ways, but is so exciting because it can pull everybody in and can pull everybody together. And I just really want to congratulate you. So anything else you'd like to say, Catherine, before we close, and any information that you'd like me to include below the video as well to direct people to?
Yeah, I'd love people to go to the website, the-pffa.org. Whether you're first-time grower, whether you want to set up a community growing group, whether you want to learn, we've even got on a document on there how to talk to your farmer, because some farmers are very busy. They don't want 100 well-meaning people traipsing down the track. How do you do that? How do you form a local buying group? That's another thing where people can save money. How do you help farmers in a local community create their own buying group? There is so much information on our website, and we're very happy to take in blogs and other bits of information, but do go and have a look. We're running a series of workshops very regularly. We've just done a glyphosate workshop. We're going to be having a membership coming up whereby every week you get new information and you get to work with a gardener, a very, very experienced gardener, if that's something you're interested in, particularly if you're a newbie, as it were, to gardening. We're bringing in as many different solutions as we can. So keep an eye on the website, keep an eye on the social media, and keep an eye on the YouTube channel, because we're recording as much as we can and putting it up there. But yeah, if you do nothing else, try and grow something. Just try and grow something. And even better if you can connect with others in your community and local farmers and producers.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I am beyond excited with the work you are doing, Catherine. You are made for this, because I think your background was agricultural as well.
That's where I started. That's when I became aware of some bigger picture issues when I was working within food production. And I noticed at the time how supermarkets were treating farmers, and I didn't like it. This is going back 20 years, mind you. So obviously it's actually got far worse since then. And I went and worked undercover, if you like, within different areas of agriculture for a number of years to see if my concerns were genuine and then find out what the answers were. And it's almost like we just need to put everything in reverse. That's fundamentally the basics, just put everything in reverse. And there's a lot more to come in terms of the support that we want to bring at hub level. If people do want to make a donation to us, please do know that our first port of call will be in supporting the opening of hubs.
Yeah, fantastic, because that financial investment, however small, will help the growth of food. And as we say, there's nothing more fundamental. And so there's a wealth of information on the PFFA website. And I hope also this conversation is going to really inspire people all over the world to do this more broad scale as well. I know in many countries, forms of the PFFA are starting up via freedom groups. but hopefully we've given some ideas, or Catherine's given some ideas here to inspire that to a higher level, because you know, with all the funny weather we've been having, healthy food growth has never been more important than it is right now.
Yeah, no,
So
absolutely.
God bless you, Katherine. I've loved this conversation. I always love conversations with you because you have endless enthusiasm. So yeah, I hope everyone out there has enjoyed this as much as I have. And just thank you again, Katherine, for everything that you're doing.
Thank you, Pam.
Bye for now, everyone.